Hi, fourth graders. Today I'm going to show you what you need to do to put these 2 pages into your science composition book. So you need to find these 2 pages in your brown envelope. You need to get your science composition book. You'll need a pencil, a pair of scissors, and a glue stick. So go gather those things up and come back. You can pause the video if you need to go gather up those materials. We're going to put this one in your composition book first. So make sure that you're in your science composition book. Open it up to the first blank page in your ecosystem section. And this page is going to be a flip book page in here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a fold right here because these are going to be our 3 flip pages. So we're going to fold this right underneath that sentence. So I'm going to fold it down at the edge of the picture frames, increase it like that. I'm going to fold it both ways just to make sure I have a nice crease there. Now, once I have this fold right underneath that sentence, then I'm going to cut 2 slits between these 2 picture frames and these 2 picture frames. So I'm going to cut from the edge of the paper right in here, but I'm going to stop as soon as I get to my fold. I'm not going to cut this sheet of paper into 3 pieces. I'm just going to cut 2 slits to separate this into 3 flaps. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put glue just behind the flap that says symbiosis. So this part right here with the title and the sentence that tells what symbiosis means, a relationship between 2 organisms where one organism benefits and the other organism may or may not be affected. So I'm going to just put glue behind that tall strip that's along the edge. Then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put this straight up and down. I'm going to make sure that none of the edges of the paper stick out of the composition book. And I'm going to use this red line here to help me line it up straight. So once I have this strip glued, I should still be able to lift these 3 flaps on this page. Now, here's what you're going to put on these 3 flaps. On the outside of the flaps, you're going to write the 3 types of symbiosis. So on the outside, you're going to write mutualism, and we're going to represent that with 2 happy faces because both organisms benefit in mutualism, and 2 pluses for positive. On the second frame, we're going to write commensalism, and you're going to put a happy face and a straight mouth face for an I don't care because this organism benefits, so it's positive, and this organism doesn't care because it's not affected, so it gets an O for neutral. And then the third one is parasitism. Parasitism, you're going to draw a happy face and a sad face and put 1 plus and 1 minus. One organism has a positive benefit from parasitism, and the other organism is harmed, so that's a negative. So parasitism is 1 positive and 1 negative. Commensalism is 1 positive and 1 neutral, and mutualism is a positive and a positive. So you can pause the video right here until you have these things written in, and then you can start the video again to go to the next step. All right, on the inside of these flaps, here's what you're going to be doing. On the inside back of the flap, you're going to draw an example and explain it here. So on this back side of the flap, you're going to draw an example of mutualism. There are several examples of mutualism in the worksheet that you did that's in your ecosystems packet, and you can use one of those examples to draw here if you want. On this side, you're going to put a definition of what mutualism means. I don't want you to copy it straight out of the worksheet. I'd like you to use your own words to define mutualism. So explain it the best way you can without copying off of the worksheet. Then you're going to do the same thing under the second flap. For commensalism, you're going to draw an example and explain it here. And then you're going to put the definition of commensalism in your own words on this side. Under parasitism, same thing. You're going to draw an example of parasitism and explain it here. Now, you don't have to put a whole paragraph to explain it. Just label what is happening in your picture. And on this side, you're defining parasitism in your own words. So you can pause the video here and finish these 6 boxes, 3 drawings with labels and 3 definitions for these types of symbiosis in your own words. You may use your textbook to help you. You may use your ecosystems packet, especially the page where it discusses the 3 different kinds of symbiosis, or you may go back and look at the videos that you watched about symbiosis to get information from there as well. When you're finished with this part, you can start the video again to see the next step. Okay, so on your pictures, after you have drawn them, if coloring them will help make it easier to show what the example means, you can color these 3 pictures. You may color your picture frames if you would like to. That's up to you. Then we're going to turn the page, and we're going to put this page in next. We're going to do this one. We're going to put this in your composition book the same way we did the other one. So I'm going to start by putting a fold right underneath where it says parts of a food chain. So I'm going to fold this here. And put a nice crease. And I'm going to fold it back the other way just to make sure that my crease is good and my fold is nice and straight. All right, after I have that fold underneath the title along the side, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut a slit between producer and consumer, going just to the fold and not cutting the paper in half. And then I'm going to put a slit between consumer and decomposer. I'm going to cut just to the slit, and I'm not going to cut the paper into 3 pieces. So now I have 3 loose flaps. And I'm going to glue this in the same way. I'm going to use the glue stick, and I'm just going to put glue behind this long strip. So after I have glue on there, I'm going to turn it over and just glue the long skinny edge towards the center. And I'm going to use this red line to help me make sure I have it nice and straight up and down. And then rub that part to make it nice and smooth. All right, pause the video if you need to get to this part so that you're caught up. And then when you get caught up to this part and you have these 3 flaps and your paper is glued in, then you can start the video again to hear the next step. Okay, the next step is that inside each of these flaps, you're going to be writing some information. On the left side, you're going to be copying these notes. On the right side, you're not copying this information. Instead, you are going to list some examples of each of these on your page. So on the top flap on this side, you're going to write this. Plants are producers. They produce their own food, sugar, during photosynthesis. On this side, you're going to write 8 examples of producers, and you're going to be writing on these lines. So on these lines right here, please write your words neatly on the lines. Remember, producers are plants, so you're basically listing 8 kinds of plants on this flap. On the second flap, this is consumer. For consumer, you're going to write on this side, anything that eats is a consumer. Herbivore eats plants. Carnivore eats meat. Omnivore eats plants and animals' meat. On this side, you are going to list 3 examples of each kind of consumer. So you're going to think of an herbivore, write down that animal's name. For instance, you might write rabbit and put an H beside it. Then you're going to write 2 more herbivores and write H beside them. Then you're going to write 3 carnivores, like for instance, eagle, and you'd put a C beside it for carnivore. Then you write 2 more carnivores and you put C beside them. Then you're going to write 3 omnivores. So you might write your own name or human, because most humans are omnivores, and you're going to put an O beside your 3 examples of omnivores. On the bottom flap for decomposer, nature's garbage recyclers turn dead plants and animals into nutrients that make soil rich and fertile. And here on this side, you're going to write 6 examples of decomposers. Now, where are you going to find all of these examples? You can find these examples in several of the videos that we watched about ecosystems. You can find examples in your ecosystems packet, and you can find examples in the chapter in your science textbook on ecosystems. When you are done with this page, then you are going to make a video, and you are going to show me in your video, or you can take pictures, either one. You're going to show me your symbiosis page, and then open each of the flaps so that I can see what you have written, and your flaps shouldn't say, draw example, define mutualism. You should have answers here. And then you're going to turn the page and show me your producer, consumer, and decomposer flip pages. And you're going to open up each one and show me what you have written on the inside. This part should look just like mine. This side, you're just copying down these notes. On this side, you should have the names of plants and animals. All right, when you're all done, submit your assignment.